All right, 112 folks. Still in Unit 3. What I wanted to talk about is the discussion board. And the discussion board gives you a choice between talking about the Enlightenment or talking about the French Revolution and the setup of what's going on there. I posted a couple other videos in connection. Some I did it, and others are related to what somebody else has posted, which I thought were good. What's important is this: is that the Enlightenment, as well as the Revolution, are it's a cause and effect relationship, and that's what it is. And the thing is we have Louis the 14th, and Louis the 14th. We already talked about the fact that he's going to create this absolutist monarch role for him, that he's going to invest within himself all the authority of the government. He's going to shut down their House of Parliament. Their version of it is called the Estates General. He's going to shut that down. His father's going to start it. His grandfather's going to start it. And in the process, once all the power is invested in the office of the king, the Estates General is an advisory body. Okay, it allows him to change the tax structure to raise some money, but once he figures out how to raise money otherwise, he doesn't need the Estates General. The Estates General is going to sit inactive for about 150 years. What will happen is we get to Louis the 16th, and the thing is, Louis the 16th, he doesn't have the training, he doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the knowledge, nor does he particularly want to be the king in charge. Louis the 14th wanted to be. Louis the 16th wants to enjoy. He wants to enjoy being king. He wants to enjoy a party. He's had a lavish lifestyle. His wife is Marie Antoinette, is part of that lavish lifestyle. The French monarchy has been enjoying the lavish lifestyle all along the way. And the problem is, we're going to see some hiccups, and the hiccups are going to be an economic problem. They're going to be an agricultural problem. We're going to see hiccups in the production of grain, which means people aren't going to have food, and when they're hungry, they're going to get upset. Because they get upset, we're going to start looking at some changes along the way. You have to realize this. The way the government is set up here in the United States, we have what's called a bicameral legislature. That we have the House of Representatives and we have the Senate. The House of Representatives is the people. Okay, the people are supposed to be everyday people. They're not everyday people anymore, but they're supposed to be everyday people, and they're representatives. The Senate was actually the representative of the states, not so much the people. It used to be that the senators were picked by the states themselves rather than elected by the people. And so they were representing the policies of the state, where the House of Representatives was representing the will of the people themselves. When it comes to France, the Estates General, it is a lot like Congress. It's a lot like Parliament. What they have is they have three estates. The first estate is actually the nobility. It's the nobility. It's the nobles. The second estate is going to be the church, because the Catholic Church is very much a state-supported institution. It's an integral part of the government and the voting body itself. And the third estate is going to be everybody else. Okay? If you're not a noble, if you're not working for the church, then you're part of the everybody else. And the everybody else is pretty close to 96-97% of the population of France, which is significant. Here's what you have to know. The everybody else doesn't own most of the land. The nobles own a huge chunk of the land. The church owns a huge chunk of the land. And so it's significant because the everybody else is going to be working land owned by somebody else. Well, here's what happens. The Estates General doesn't get called for quite a while, but once France ends up in the cesspool, once it ends up there having problems, they're having financial issues, they're having food issues, Louis the 16th is going to be looking for a solution. He's going to have to raise some taxes to do that. He's going to have to call the Estates General. He'll call the Estates General, and what will happen is the third estate is going to say, oh, look, here's our opportunity, here's our possibility for change, finally. Because what happens with the estates general is this: each estate, regardless of how many people are in it, gets one vote. Gets one vote. And so what will happen is any laws, any changes that are passed in the estates general are on a simple majority vote. So what will happen is the nobility gets a vote, the church gets a vote, and the third estate gets a vote, and whoever wins, the most votes goes that way. Most of the taxes are levied on that working class. They're not levied on the church. They're not levied on the nobility. Why? Because taxes are proposed in the estates general. When the estates general votes, the first and second estate vote together to protect themselves. Hey, we're going to go ahead and tax the church. Let's vote. First estate, no. Church, no. Third estate, yes, tax them. Oh, sorry, 2-1. Let's tax the nobility. No, yes. Oh, sorry, 2-1. Let's raise the taxes on the peasants. Yes, no. Oh, sorry, 2-1. We're going to raise the taxes. Very much like the videos I've got posted say. The thing is the people are going to feel that because of the ideas of the Enlightenment, because of the ideas of John Locke and the philosophes, the idea that they have natural rights, the idea that the people are governed by the consent, the government is because of the consent of the people. They're going to look at, the Constitution of the United States. They're going to look at the Bill of Rights of the United States. They're going to look at the Bill of Rights from Britain. They're going to look at the Declaration of Independence and go, hey, wait, we're not being represented. We're not gaining. And so as such, what will happen is they will insist on change. It's going to create a rebellion. It's going to create a revolution because they're going to demand their rights. This demanding of the rights comes from both the Enlightenment, the free thinking, the change in thought. It is a reaction to, the Americans throwing off their monarch and enjoying this perception of freedom. But also, the constraints that were held on them by Louis XIV and, the courts after that. The people are going to say, hey, look, we no longer have to take this, that we can demand our rights. And it's going to be the demanding of the rights, the free thinking. Once they have thrown off the shackles of thought that the church put in their constraints on thinking, once they've expanded the idea that, hey, what class you're in should not define what rights you have. What class you're in should not define your ability to speak up. What class you're in should not define your ability to say and do and expect and to enjoy those natural rights. It is not shocking that there's a revolution. It's not shocking that there's a demand for change. It's not shocking that the third estate, once they are demanding change, once they're locked out, once they proceed to the tennis court, take the tennis court oath, and form the assembly, it's not surprising that they create this set of laws and demands and expectations. What is surprising is that it kind of turns to the violence that it does. But go ahead and take a look, because to me this is very much cause and effect. The Enlightenment in thinking is throwing off the shackles of church thought. The explosion that is the revolution is in reaction to the dabbling in the Enlightenment and the rejection of the authority that Louis the 14th left in charge. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut you off. Make sure you actually jump on and get your posts done and replies done, folks. Thanks.